Welcome back to Cosmic Relationships, the False Light, program number 6, How to Identify Relationship Interference. Did you know that you can have relationships that are completely staged by interference just to mess with you? So in this episode, we're going to look at how that's actually done, the telltale signs of a relationship designed just to mess with you, why they do it, and how you can change it. So this is program 6. If you have not watched program 5 yet, serious, you're going to want to go watch that before watching this one, or this one's just not going to make any sense. This is a continuation of program 5, going deeper into the topics we've been looking at. Also, there's a download that goes with this. It's a free ebook. If you have not yet downloaded that, click the link below and grab your ebook. So in program 4, just a quick review, we looked at how this reality entices you into wanting to be in these interfered with relationships, how they bait you to lure, to really desire these kind of relationships. And then program 5, we looked at why are relationships so complicated for aware people. And we looked at there's actually 5 different relationships that you're in. It's not just you and this other person. You're engaging 5 other components in that other person. And that makes all the difference in the world. Once you get that, you're like, oh, that's what's going on. So today we're going to look more deeply at what are the signs and symptoms of relationship interference? Like, how do you know that it's going on? Well, here are the strongest of the signs, and this ties a lot into false light, but it doesn't necessarily have to. But the most extreme version of manipulated relationship is this love at first sight thing, this magnetic attraction that you just love this other person that you've never met before. Like you've physically never seen them before, and you're like, oh my God, you see them across the crowded room and you're like, I need to be with that person. And everything is magical, and it's like you've known them forever and ever and ever. And it's like you've spent lifetimes and lifetimes together. And your relationship, your connection seems to have all these synchronicities and coincidences and mystical elements that are happening here. These are all actually your awareness of the pre-manipulations that occurred behind the scenes that actually brought all this in place. You have a sense of being irrationally obsessed. Well, it doesn't feel irrational. You just feel obsessed with this person, infatuated. Like you want to spend every waking moment with them. You can't stop thinking about them. Like this is the kind of relationship that this culture promotes. Like this is the way it should be. Well, that should be is actually a highly manipulated relationship. Or what if that's a highly manipulated relationship? When you get involved in that, or in the early days of this relationship, you're focusing on the person's good qualities. You only see the good in them. That's just all you see. Like you're blinded to the red flags and the things that are not good or not useful. Like you can't see those things in the beginning, but your friends and family do. And they let you know about them, and you don't want to hear about that. You have this deep desire to bond or connect and commit with this person. Commit, 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 commit. Bind yourself, commit to this person in as many different ways as you can. It's another pattern. The false light, the manipulators require you to keep getting deeper connected, because they're gonna at some point change the game on you, and they want to bind you first. The intimate sexual connection that you have with a person is profound. Like when you're connected with them, it's like this electric, highly energetic, your senses are heightened, you seem deeply resonant with the other person, and it's a very it's like being on a drug. If you've ever explored with drugs, it's very much like being on a drug all of its own, because there is a degree of chemical manipulation that occurs as well, along with all of the energetic manipulation that occurs to get the two of you to bond and bind together. And I won't go deep into why they do that, but these are symptoms of it. And once you get bonded together, once you're connected as a couple, everything changes in some way. Usually it's one partner drops out, like one partner turns off, they're no longer infatuated anymore, and then or something flips, it's like a switch turns on, and all of a sudden struggle, confusion, miscommunication, hurtful, painful, dramatic, the drama kicks in. All of a sudden twisted emotions and distorted, just this is when the hell starts. And it's mindfuck city. It's just everything is twisted and everything changed, and you can't figure out how it changed, why it changed, because you've now bonded with that person, and now is when the core manipulation starts. Now is when they start to tear things apart, and they start to kind of create all of this drama and trauma that goes on. And then even once it becomes obvious that it's time to break up, another symptom is that it's difficult or almost impossible to break up. No matter how abusive that relationship is in either direction, you keep longing for that other person. You keep desiring that person. Even after you've separated, there still is that longing. You're feeling the manipulations that were engaged still drawing at you. You want to undo all of those manipulations that occurred, and a lot of it is just from separating from false light. So program 4 and 3 were helpful, and we'll look a little bit more at what else goes on. So the experiences, basically, you find that there's this, during this time, if you've had one of these, it feels so magical and it feels so like mystical and co-creative, because there are a lot of agents that are participating and co-creating in that reality with you at that time. They're messing with you a lot. And in the beginning, they mess with you in a way that feels good. Once you're bonded or bonded to the other person, then they flip that and they start to make it not good anymore. So another symptom of that is you'll engage this other person, like you'll have these sexual connections that are like, wow, this is amazing. And then you'll feel trashed afterwards. If you're intimate or sexual with another person and you feel trashed afterwards, like I could be trashed for hours to days afterwards. And the other partner wants to have more sex. It's like, oh my gosh, like that. That's manipulation. That's active manipulation. That's another element of it. And I always thought that this was just me, like just only happened in my reality to me. And I had been figuring out kind of how this happens. And I ran into an amazing lady named Eve Lorgan, who is author, researcher, counselor of mostly, she looks at things from the alien perspective. And while I don't necessarily engage it in that same way, there is alien, and I define alien as just energies that are not part of this reality. They're not co-created in this reality. It's not the bullshit that movies and stuff try to teach you. They make it scary and big and powerful. Doesn't work that way. You're big and scary and powerful. They're good manipulators. But anyway, she looks at this, and she did a lot of research with people who were deeply engaged in this and found the patterns of it. And I'm not going to go through all those. Her story and some of the things that she found are in the book for this. But I want to ask you, so the manipulations that we've looked at here, how much of this kind of manipulation have you experienced in your relationships? And how much have your relationships been something other than these manipulations? And just notice which one of those piles is bigger. Like for me, in my reality, it was like mostly manipulation. And something else almost non-existent. Most of what my experiences were in my earlier relationships were all profoundly manipulated, like I was describing here. The more aware I became, the less I allowed that, the less I accepted that, and the more I become aware of false light, the more I've learned how to step out of what these are called bonded relationships. Like, you've actually been externally bonded. Those agents have brought you together and have manipulated you profoundly, your whole reality, the people around you, to get you to be in connection with this other person. Why would they do all that? That's the part that's hard to understand. That's the part that is like, why? I don't get the why part. So this is kind of the core that I want to kind of wrap up with and leave you with. What if who you are as an infinite being, or as a being, or as a person, is not a victim? What if who you are is actually a potent co-creator, a badass, a kick-ass, magical, dynamic individual who has these amazing capacities and potencies that are so risky to the system, are so risky to the false light, are so risky to the agents, that they will do everything within their power to redirect you, to sidetrack you, to get you to tangle yourself up in any way they can and confuse you and get you trapped in unconscious patterns and unconscious loops so that you'll block yourself. What if they don't actually have the power to block you or stop you? What if you're actually way more powerful than they are, but they can mind fuck you like no one else can, and they can manipulate your reality on layers that are difficult to perceive and conceive of? I will, without being able to actually prove it in all detail right now, I will kind of just drop this. What if your entire reality is thoroughly manipulated? Everything you see on television, everything that you see in movies, everything that you interact with in this reality is either directly or indirectly manipulated in some way for the purpose of throwing certain people off task and for programming the rest of people to move forward as sheep towards some agenda. And that brings up all this kind of and everything, all that is, can we put all that in the pile? Yeah, I choose that. It's a choice. You just let go of those points of view and just put all that in the pile. Just let it go and encapsulate. And what is all the unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable, unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies and frequencies? And can we destroy and create all that? Yeah, I choose that. Put all that in the pile and encapsulate all. Encapsulate all. Whew. Wow. And everything down below and back behind, up above, way out front, left and the right, inside, outside, everything remaining, all in the pile. Can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing? Yeah, I choose that. Body, separate from that. Vaporize, sick by, vaporize, sick by, vaporize, sick by, vaporize, sick by, null void, null void, null void, null void. Wow. 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 And what are all the entities, demonics, creatures, coalition aliens, reptilians, parasitics, beings, doings, gods, and other non-contributive energies and frequencies? Pre-tag, pre-encapsulate, freeze, tap down, trace, shut, scan, ideal. Pre-tag, pre-encapsulate, all, freeze, tap down, freeze, tap down, freeze. Wow. And can we banish all these energies? Yeah, I choose that. Prime Creator, Enable Prime Creator, banish all these energies, and do this now. Banish, anchors, banish, anchors, banish, anchors. Resend book, key, can't reclaim, vaporize, sick by, vaporize, sick by, vaporize, sick by, vaporize, sick by. We're going to look more deeply at the fifth component, agents, and how do they work? What do they do? How do they actually interfere in relationships? There are some agents that seek to influence you to get into relationships. There are other agents that seek to prevent you from engaging certain relationships, and there are other agents that encourage you to stay out of relationships altogether. And you can have all of these voices, all of these agents functioning in your reality at the same time. So you can have some that are like, yes, get in a relationship with that person. And others are like, no, this person's better. No, this person here. No, this one's better. So if you hear those voices, what if they're not you? What if they're not your voice? What if they're the voice of these different agents? So I use the word agent very deliberately here for a couple of reasons. One of them is actually because when you look at the paradigm in the world out here, it often shows you more about what goes on in the paradigm in the world in here. So let's use the concept of a real estate agent. Okay, so the person who you can hire or employ to assist you in buying or selling a property or a house or something like that. Which this happens to be kind of like a house where all things, okay, you get it. So you have the agent, you have the one that works with you, and then you have their broker. The broker is the person who's more certified, and so every broker often has multiple agents, and a broker can be an agent as well. But so think about it as this hierarchy. So you have the agents, and they're the ones that work with you directly. You have the brokers who work with the agents, tell the agents what to do, assist the agents. You have the controllers. You think about a big corporate organization. You have the bosses that are over the brokers. And then you have the overseer, the CEO or the whatever that is overseeing the whole corporation. And then you have not only one realty corporation, there are many, many, many realty corporations, and some are small and some are really big. And what if all of that is pretty close to the same story or same picture of what's going on inside of you with the agents? There are multiple agents vying to represent you. In some way, they get commission, they get paid. Actually, they kind of are allowed to survive. It's more like that. But the agents that work with you, some of them try to be potential partners with you. Some of them try to become friends with you. And they want to do whatever it takes to get you on their side. They will say anything required. They will do anything required to get you to participate with them and basically do what they need you to do. And they can spend years grooming you in a relationship before they actually start getting you to take action. And that grooming has already occurred. By now, everything's pretty desperate. It's in action, full bore. It's probably not grooming, or it's not grooming so much anymore, where when you were younger, you probably had a lot of grooming going on by these different agents who wanted you to become their friend and trust them so that they could become embedded in your system and become kind of part of your reality without you questioning them. So what is all the unconsciousness, the anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies, frequencies around all this? Put all that in a pile. Yep. And encapsulate all that. Everything down below, back behind, up above, way out front, from the left, from the right, inside, outside, everything remaining, all in the pile, all in the pile, all in the pile. Everything that's blurry or foggy or fuzzy, all in the pile. Encapsulate, take a step back, and can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing? Yeah, half size. And vaporize. Resend, revoke, you can't reclaim, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void. I do that with agreements, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void. The agreements that I won't explain right now. So these agents, so think of it as there's an agent that has kind of found its way into your realities to be dominant with you. And then you have a partner, and they have their agents who are active in either promoting the relationship, or their agents who are active in disconnecting the relationship. If you have been participated in a false light relationship where it's love at first sight and you're head over heels, and we'll look more about what that looks like, that if you've participated in one of those kind of relationships, then you're actually working like with the same agent company. And so the agent that manipulates you is the same agent that manipulates the other person. And there is a teamwork behind the scenes that's manipulating both of you to actively be together in a certain way. And usually those were relationships that have occurred already, that had a lot of years to set them up, and had a lot of kind of history pre-setting up behind them. By now, you probably would have experienced those already if you were going to, or they're already set up for you now to experience. But if you've already experienced them, there's probably not new ones being set up now, based on the way I perceive the system, though, I don't know, you may perceive it differently. So you have these agents, some that are trying to get you involved, and some that are trying to get the other person involved. And it's all so everything that all that let's just put that in the pile. And can we shrink all that to less than nothing? Yeah, I choose that. Half size. Vaporize, vaporize. So I'm going to step away from that, and I'm going to look more at like what's going on behind this. So there are layers of competing agents. And there are some that are trying to influence you to be in a relationship or to stay single. There are agents who do nothing but try to get you to be sexual or not sexual, whether it's masturbating or whether it's engaging another person. They have an agenda towards engaging you sexually or not engaging you sexually, depending on how your sexual energy is wired into the bigger part of who you came here to be. There are ones that influence you to eat or drink certain things. There are ones that influence you to do certain things or take certain actions. If you have this thing that's constantly, no, I don't want to get into details with that. Let's just say they influence you to do other things. Some of them see you as property, and like a real estate agent, like they see you as just insignificant property. And you wonder, like, how can they treat you so inhuman? They don't see you as human. They don't see you as anything valuable. You're just a piece of property to be bought or sold. Others actually are different than that, and they see you as livestock. They see you as an animal that they are raising and they are grooming and they are something in my mouth here, that they are farming for a specific purpose. Depending on what level you've engaged this reality and how you're engaging this reality, you may notice different levels of those players. If you feel like you're really victimized and shut down and locked down and your life is just fucked with horribly, you probably have a lot of the agents who see you as livestock. And the way to get out of that is to change your point of view and start to step into the potency and the co-creation with this planet, the authentic planet and the authentic reality, and step out of all of that synthetic stuff. And again, that's very complex, and we talk more about that detail, but that's basically where you want to go with that. Some are friendly and try to win you over and be your bud, and others are militaristic and they look to coerce and threaten you. And you can have agents that will even play the same side of that. They'll use whatever it takes to influence you. They don't care. They have no scruples, they have no morals in the way we think of it, and they don't think of you as human. They think of you as just a resource here to be utilized in many ways. And so they'll do whatever it takes to be effective with you. So your goal is to start to recognize how they function and to make it that they can't be effective with you. And that's what changes the game. And that's, again, what I teach people to do. So and now I can feel that brought up a lot of stuff. So what is all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies and frequencies around all of these topics we've engaged here today? And can we put all of that stuff that prevents you from being aware in that pile? Yeah, I choose that. Out in front of you, separate from it. It's not you. Separate from it. Encapsulate everything down below. Everything up back behind, up above, way out front, in the pile, encapsulate, seal, left from the right, inside, outside, everything remaining all in the pile, encapsulate all. And take a step back from that, separate from it, and body begin to let go of that. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing? Yeah, I choose that. Smaller, 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 nothing. Vaporize. Resend, revoke, you can't reclaim, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void, null void. Woo. So how much of the voices in your head, yours, you sourcing them, and how much of the voices in your head connected to manipulators or agents attempting to influence your reality in some way? Whew. And that varies for every person, but notice what your balance is. For most people, those voices in their head are not them. They're something else. And you want to start to become aware of that most of the time, the thoughts that bounce around in your reality, not yours. So everything, all that is, and everything that allows that to be that way, let's put all that in the pile and encapsulate everything down below, back behind, up above, left, right, inside, outside, everything remaining, all in the pile. Can we shrink that down to less than nothing? Yeah. Half size, half. Vaporize, signify, null void, null void, null void, null void. So the overall game here that they're seeking to play is to influence you in as many ways as they can, ideally to program, to get you to have a belief system, a structure, a pattern, a program, a way of being, a programmed way of being that causes you to limit yourself and get in your own way. They don't have a lot of power and they don't have a lot of control, but they're masterful manipulators. And so they keep fucking with you to cause you to get in your own way and limit yourself, to screw with yourself, to be afraid of things, to not take action on things that are a benefit to you, to take action on things that are not good for you, to do all the wrong things, all the things that are not helpful for your reality, and to not do the things that are helpful for reality, and to not know the difference between them. That's what they do. They just fuck with you to the point where you start to create these rules that about how I should live that are automatically closing you down and keeping you limited. And they love fear, and they're not afraid to use coercion. And they'll coerce you through dreams, they'll install memories into you, they'll repetitive thoughts, I call it seeding. They'll keep putting these thoughts, the same thought over and over again or in different ways, to the point where you start to think of that as your thought and you start to make that real or true. They can reprogram your brain through technological measures, through what I call wave propagation, and through microbiome. Like they can manipulate the energies that are inside your gut. Now, this all looks really hopeless and like impossible, like they've taken over. What I'd like to spin that in is like, that's how powerful and potent you are as an infinite being. And that's how dangerous you are. What if that's how dangerous you are to their agenda? That they have used that many resources and that much manipulation in your reality. And not everybody has that depth of manipulation in their reality. Some have more, some have less, depending on kind of what's up for you. But the way out of it all seems to be pretty much the same, is recognizing their patterns and choosing ways out of it and getting rid of what you can get rid of. So depending on how valuable a product you are in their eyes, they'll engage more resources with you. How much they can manipulate you to do things that they require, like use your gifts and capacities to change things in this reality that aren't necessarily to your advantage to change, but they trick you into thinking that it is when it's actually for them. I got caught on that one. Actually, most of us have gotten snagged on that one. How much of a disruptor you are. Okay. Early on in my life, I didn't know I would be doing this and teaching people this stuff. I had no clue. But that manipulation was all the way through my life. They knew and they know what your potential is, and they know what your native expression is like, even more than you do in some cases. And there, if you have a lot of manipulation, there's something really potent that you be that they don't want you to step into. And my invitation to you and my encouragement is to step into it. And I will go as far as to say the only way out of this that I've ever found is for you to step into your power and for you to see the game as it really is and to kick out the manipulators that don't belong here. It's the only thing. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm saying it's the only way I've personally ever seen. But I also came from a very manipulated background, heavily influenced reality most of my life. Less so in the last couple of years as I learned how to clear them. Why are intimate relationships or relationships so complex? You've got all these players. There's all these players in you, all these players in your partner, and there's literally hundreds of different agendas that are all happening behind the scenes. And because it's all happening through lies and manipulations and distortions, you have no clue what those agendas are. Like, it's this tangly ass thing that is lies and distortions and illusions, and it's hard to tell what's up, what's down, what's left, what's right, and you're like, that's what they want. So as you become more aware and you find out what are their agendas, what are they trying to get you to do, what are they doing here, why have they sought to take over this planet, what is going on, as you look deeper into that story, and let's play with it. It's just a story. Is it real? I'm not going to say anything at this point. I'm going to let you see what's true for you. As you begin to dig into all of this stuff, yeah, that brought up stuff. So what is all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation cloaking? Wernicke's commands, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies and frequencies around all this? Well, we put all that in the pile. Yep, I choose that. And encapsulate everything down below, back behind, up above, from the left, from the right, inside, outside, everything remaining, all in the pile, all in the pile. Take a step back from that, so you're not involved in it. You're out from it. It's out in front of you. And can we shrink all that stuff down to less than nothing? Yeah, I choose that. Vaporize, liquefy. And what are all the entities, demonic creatures, coalition aliens, reptilians, parasitics, beings, doings, gods, and other non-contributive, non-symbiotic energies and frequencies? Pre-tag, pre-encapsulate, freeze, tap down, trace, scan, ideal. Where were we, the infinite beings, when they were created, assembled, modified, gilded, sourced at their inception? Pre-tag, pre-encapsulate from all those points. Can we banish all these energies? Yeah, I choose that. Prime Creator, inalienable Prime Creator, banish all these energies. Do this now. Banish anguish, banish anguish, banish anguish. Rescind, book, you can't reclaim, vaporize, say goodbye, vaporize, say goodbye. Vaporize, say goodbye, vaporize, say goodbye, vaporize, say goodbye, vaporize, say goodbye. So, to look at this spin on viewpoint, how much of the false light is here to harass you into waking up to your truth? Like, we can see it as they're here to limit us. What if on some level we hired them or we agreed to it because we knew that they would harass us mercilessly until we got stronger? So we stepped into our power and we stepped into our potency and we stepped into the truth of who we be and got out of all the crap. Like, on some level you could spin this and look at it as they're here to empower you, but you have to choose to use them that way. If you're currently using them to be a good victim, if you're currently using them to have your life turned to shit, then you might want to think about reframing that so that you actually are using them to make yourself stronger, clearer, more powerful, more aware, so you can outcreate their entire paradigm. So you can get bigger than their paradigm and you can just kind of run circles around them. And that's what I do with people is teach them how do we do that? How do we accomplish that? And we do research for things we haven't figured out yet. How do we figure that out? How do we change that? 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 So let's look at this. Feel your heavier, lighter. So how much is a false light here to harass you into waking up to your truth? And how much is it here for something else? Okay, and that depends on what focus you're choosing. Like they could be here in a victim role, or they can be here to support you in waking up. And it's your choice how you choose to look at that. So that's I'll step away from that now, but I want you to think about it. That's kind of where we're headed with that. That's kind of the core the core element here. So this has been a lot. So let's take a break here, and when we come back in the next episode, we're going to look at how false light works through other people to mess with you. Like, how does that actually work? How do they do that? And how to shut them down on the spot. How to make it that false light can't actually mess with you through other people. Yeah? And how to get rid of these agents altogether from your relationships and your life. That's where we're headed. So join us in the next episode. We'll see you there.